Nazri. And we'll see, I will present you some information on that as well. But I prefer to fast forward to 2008 and recall to you again what happened in the United States of America when the subprime crisis took place. And what happened was there was low interest rate following the internet crash that took place in the United States, and the British Bank decided to prevent the American economy from slowing down by low interest rate, which created excess liquidity, which then resulted in banks lending so much money to the subprime borrowers, which led to a housing boom, which was boosted by the use of CDOs, or collateralized debt obligation, which led to the rise in housing prices. And when interest rates later on rose, when the Federal Reserve under control the economy, led to a crash and many borrowers went bust. And the total UK and US debt to GDP, according to the BBC, was about 300%, and 20% of total economic output was used to pay interest rate. So you can imagine how much output of the population was used only to pay interest alone. Now, it led to a very serious crisis. 16.3 trillion was wiped out from the global financial market and caused a global economic downturn. And as we know, these banks went into trouble, and these companies went into trouble, and Americans suffered. And you can see all these photos of Americans suffering. States of foreclosures, housing foreclosures, or eviction of tenants and of house buyers, millions and millions of them in America, and many Americans were very, very scared of the state of their country, to the point that having a PhD and doing postdocs and publishing papers is not enough to secure your job. So this is America, a very advanced country, where having a PhD is not going to ensure your job. Malaysia is probably not in that situation yet, but we are trying our best to be in that situation. Because we are trying to be an advanced country. Some of you are trying your best to do your PhD now, right? So you want to rethink your future strategy. Because by the time you get a PhD, Malaysia will be an advanced country, and your PhD will not be able to see.
Bro,
Now,
I'm waiting for 2020.
Now, this is a quote by Professor Robert Jensen. And he said, we need to recognize that the crises we face are not simply the result of greedy corporate executives or corrupt politicians. Many in Malaysia say that everything is due to corrupt politicians. But in America, they don't have that many corrupt politicians. But this is not of greedy corporate executives or corrupt politicians, but rather of failed systems. So this is something which we must really understand. We are talking about systems. And I mentioned this a bit this morning. Now, 2011, so that was 2008. 2011, what happened? They suffered and suffered, and September 2011, some of you may have read about it, some of you may not be aware of what happened, but Americans who suffered, they gathered at a place called Zuccotti Park in New York, because they couldn't stand anymore. They couldn't find, they don't have enough money, kicked out of their homes, and they suffered, and they decided we have to do something about this. Something's got to change. Actually actually reality started in Spain. This is called that. But anyway, it actually became big in America, in New York. So they gathered together at this place called Gothic Park, Wall Street, and stayed there for a couple of months actually. And they helped tackle up this Wall Street. So we were talking about this banking as a part of the problem. And they rightly actually highlighted this. They said that banking, Wall Street is of course the center of banking in America. This financial is responsible for most of the poverty and suffering of Hispanics. And they saw tents. And they stayed there, right? In tents. And shouted and screamed in anger at the situation. But they do not realize this, and this is something which we must realize. You cannot change the system by just shouting and screaming. So when I was watching that, and there was a report that said that this is big, this is a revolution taking place in America, this is big. But I knew, based on my understanding, that nothing going to change, because we are not talking about corrupt politicians or greedy corporate executives. We are talking about system. Systems don't change by people screaming and shouting. We are going to discuss afterward what is going to make the system change. Anyway, what happened? On 15 November 2011, the mayor of New York, Gombak, he was, probably because the place was getting dirty, smelly, and on top of that, among of these hundreds of protesters, there were some naughty ones also who started doing other things besides protesting, stealing people's stuff and attacking girls at the same time. So it was getting really bad. And what's going to change? Nothing going to change, right? So in the end, and people were blaming me because what's going to happen? Are you going to let all these people stay there for months? And actually, these people were also suffering because winter was coming. November, New York, very cold. But anyway, Bloomberg decided to evict them, and they were evicted from the place, and some ended up on the streets again, suffering again, living in tents, and you can see many of these tents in many cities in America on the outskirts of cities. So most cities in America will have this scenery of people living in tents. If you have forests outside the city, you will go inside, you will see many tents of Americans who have lost their homes. I think near IIUM there are a lot of forests. No tents yet, because we are still not successful yet. We are still trying our best. And hopefully when we succeed, there will be tents outside IIUM. So you go to our PhD, you can buy tents. Get ready for that. Okay, this is a very long quote. I'm just saying that at the end of it all, one of the reasons why Obama was elected as President of America was because Americans wanted change. People represented change. A young man who wasn't schooled in Washington, so they elected him, they wanted to change. After 8 years, they decided that nothing has changed. So they decided they want another guy who can change things. So that is the reason why Donald Trump won the election. Many people who voted for Obama, they were basically supporters of the Democratic Party. These people who actually voted Obama decided to vote somebody whom Obama hated very much, Donald Trump, because they wanted change. Again, it's the Americans, even though they have a passion in civil war, apparently they don't have a clue about what they need for their country. So in the end, they think that Donald Trump can make those, we call it, changes in their life. But now in America, 49 million are living under poverty because, as Robert Jensen said, this is a problem of the system. According to Noam Chomsky, he still uses the same word, the system is not good. Unfortunately, he didn't quite explain what is the right system. He didn't quite explain. He simply said that the system in America is not working. What about Japan? What does Japan not have? They are successful exporting nation, trade surplus very high, high savings rate, hardworking and skillful workers. What else? Malaysia wants to be like Japan. We have Lucas policy. What is with Japan that they do not have? Everything we want to do is we want to emulate Japan. Is Japan a success story? Some of you may, if you have opportunity, go to Tokyo and walk around the city of Tokyo and you will see this. Normally, you will see this more clearly when you go out around 11 p.m. at night. Before that, you won't see the scene. Because most Japanese who are homeless, they come out and they start to assemble their beds, as it were, around that time. And you see a lot of homeless people in Japan now. This is a successful country economically, very modern, Shinkansen, right? What else do you want? So at the end of all this successful economic strategy and high work ethic, working very hard, this is what you have. People living in tents again. When I showed these photographs, some past supporter was very happy with a blue color tent. No wonder. But actually there are the green tent also there. Both parties are suffering over there. The worst, among the worst of the OECD countries in terms of poverty, about 15% are poor, whereas average is 11%. So it should say the worst at 17.3%. But the point is, we are talking about Japan. People who have studied Japan for technology, etc. At the end of it, you have 15.7% of the population being poor. And see, some young people also queuing for food. So you think this only takes place in some African or countries, but this is Japan. Why? System's not working. What about Singapore? Maybe Singapore is better. 2014 was named the world's most expensive city. 2016 still ranked the world's most expensive city for the third year running. This is the price of properties in Singapore. Okay, so it's very expensive compared to Malaysia. Some rental rate I was comparing. Right? Bungalow, you have to spend about 47,000 per month to rent a bungalow. The luxury bungalow is about 92,000 per month. Not 92, 9,200, 92,000 per month. The lowest is HP flat. This is a couple of years ago, about 8,000 ringgit a month. But the teacher's monthly pay average is about 8,000 ringgit. So you only about just a bit more than 1,000, maybe about 1,010 for your food, etc. Not a very affordable city for many Singaporeans. So that's why you will see actually in Singapore, this is talking about income also that is stagnating, and that's why you see so many homeless people also in Singapore. So Singapore likes to hide this, but if you go to Singapore, apparently they also have homeless people. The only difference with Japan and Singapore is that Singapore has the outlet, they are the shock absorber. So when things are hard, those people who are suffering, they go to Johor. So they are mostly Johorians. Right. So they walk discipline Johor, and you will see the homeless people. In Japan, they cannot go anywhere. So you will see all these people homeless in Japan. But in Singapore, they will go to Johor, they will sit here to Johor. But still, regardless, they still have sufferings over in Singapore. It's just that it's not highlighted. See, this is actually, I think this is in Singapore's Changi Airport. Oh, one of these very marketplace. So people will find a corner and sleep there, and then they will get their everything in there. So you can't see this, but because sometimes in the evening you will see homeless people in Singapore. System is not working, obviously, right? Or Malaysia. This is the price of houses going up and up and up. Going up and up and up. I show you from 1999 to 2013. This is about 3 years ago. You can see the price from 456 to 1.5 million now. Probably now 2 million, I don't know. And as a result, as Zahid explained just now, so many people are unemployed, homeless, even though they are working homeless. Very sad situation. This is what is happening to us, and it's going to get worse and worse. Right? So children growing without homes, sleeping on the streets. No, not even a mattress. Can you imagine? So this is the result. This is the end of our development, of our effort to make life more prosperous for us. Our children ending up living like this. And suicides going up as well. This is the latest one, right? Some of you may have read this in Penang because of financial trouble. So it's everywhere. So what are the factors that cause increase in cost of living? Let's take a look at this. This is the Malaysia Consumer Price Index going up and up and up and up. I don't want to go to the technical field. Technical field can explain by the technical people. I just want to show you the graph. So the price goes up. What else are going up and which have got correlation with this? Malaysia's bank's balance sheet. So the bank's balance sheet goes up, the price goes up. What's that? Malaysian money supply. So it goes up also. And why is that? Then it goes up. Malaysian loans to private sector. Right? And this is the inflation of Malaysia compared to other countries. All going up. Right? So that is the thing that we have to realize. All of this is related to the banking system. It's a debt-based economy that's the source of the problem. So we need a model, as highlighted by Alpha Pascona. She stated quite correctly that we need a model of economic development that is independent of the debt-based financial industry. Unfortunately, that's not going to be easy. As long as you have fast economic growth as the top priority, if development is only understood in terms of material things or materialistic values are strong in our society, it's not going to be easy to change that system. Look at Malaysian household debt. Now, 89.1%, 2015. 1.3 trillion. Okay. Now 1.3 trillion. This actually is not forced on us by everybody. There was nobody who said to us, you must borrow money. You must, household debt going up. Nobody forces us as household to go into debt. The details, 62% for property acquisition and financial investment. And the main reason why individuals go bankrupt is personal loans, and this is the number of bankrupts. Now, approximately every Malaysian has debt of divided by per capita 33,000. This includes, but this is average. If you 30 million population, this includes orang asli and the children. Orang asli and the retirement, children and the actually is average up. 1% actually go graduate to buy a car, Proton persona, about 60,000 ringgit. You buy property, 200,000, 260,000, over your head. So it goes down to 33,000 because we include orang asli and the children. That's all. But now most people say, oh, over here I don't think people have got debt yet. Over here zero, tak ada hutang kan. But outside there, Malaysians, 300,000 over their head. This is the components. You can see there. Mostly residential. This is residential. This is 2014 to 2015. 48.6% loans is for residential. So the system is growing and becoming stronger because people are buying properties using debt. Because they want to go to debt to buy property. Okay. So the single most important contributor to the system that we are condemning today are the outside there. Those people who borrow money to buy a house, they are the ones who contribute the most to the problem. Okay, 48.6%. So if we are talking about the system making everybody suffer, including the children who are sitting on the streets, the person who contributes most to that problem is the person who bought houses by borrowing from a bank. They are the ones who contribute most to the problem. After that are the high purchase for cars, and then personal financing, borrowing money in order to have a wedding, walimah, that's another reason, or to go on holiday. Alright, so I go back to 14th century. These are the two very important individuals who contributed to the system, which later on, for some reason, in fact, as here, he is John Eck and John Calvin. These are the ulama usul, the scholars, the evil scholars of Christianity who reinterpreted what usury meant in the Bible when they say that usury only refers to excessive interest rate or biting interest rate. Anything that is not biting, especially if loan to businessmen, should not be called usury, they are called productive loans. So these are two individuals way back in the 15th century. It's very interesting because when I spoke to some banking people, they also use the word productive loan. The loan which was used by, the term which was used by John Eck and John Calvin, the two individuals who contributed the most to the growth of the banking industry. And later on supported by Adam Smith and Terry Benton. Now, I just want quickly to share with you my understanding of how it grew, how did the system grew. What happened was, as we know, commodity money, gold and silver replaced by fiat money, and therefore industrialists were able, using knowledge which they got from combination of Greek and Arab world, all this knowledge. But this knowledge was not enough in order to create that economic growth, fast economic growth in Europe. What they needed was finance. And that was available to them when the finance industry took place or existed or grew. And that only took place after John Eck and John Calvin had to legalize usury, or reinterpreted usury. So we had the Industrial Revolution in Europe, and that's the reason why we don't witness this fast industrialization in any other parts of the world, only Europe, because Europe was the one who started the finance industry. In other parts of the world, especially the Muslim world, they had a wakaf industry. We look at the wakaf industry, wakaf, because people were crazy, not crazy, I don't say crazy, they were more focused on giving. So they understood when they started teaching that when you die, all your good deeds will stop, except three things. One is what? The prayers of his children. Secondly is financial knowledge. And we as the MMJ and the academic world are really hoping that what we are sharing with you can be considered as financial knowledge that will continue to give us benefit even after we die. And the third one is sadaqah syariah. So in the Muslim world, The focus was to give, and that's the reason why the most important institution in the Muslim world at that time was wakaf. So you go to the Muslim world at that time, schools, hospitals, they all were run by wakaf. On the other hand, in Europe, they were not interested in ajar or reward from God. They were interested in money, right? So the most important institution in Europe were financial institutions. And what happened was the financial institutions, they were greedy for more money and they wanted to lend as much as possible. But you cannot lend to individuals too much, because if you lend to individuals too much, what's going to happen? The person may die. If the person dies or go crazy, they have a law over there. If the company goes crazy, then the contract becomes rescinded. So you want to make sure that you can get your money back. So they came up with the idea that lend this money to somebody who will remain alive even though the owners have died. Even though the people have died, but the contract is still valid. So they came up with this concept called the corporation. So now, what the entity that borrowed money from the financial institutions were not individuals anymore. They were the corporations. So when you have corporations, then you can lend a lot of money for longer periods, 50 years, maybe 100 years, doesn't matter, as long as the company can still survive. That's the reason why one MTP was able to borrow up to 50 billion. Because the person who signed the check, even if he dies or lose power at the next election, one MTP is still there to pay. So that's why the financial institutions were not worried when they lend money, and it went up 50, almost 50 billion. So January 2016 was almost 50 billion. With the interest payment going up about 3 billion per year. Interest payment on my DP. Yes, that's politics of it, yeah. Anyway, back to Europe. The East India Company, right, in Europe, went all the way here to Asia. So that's the reason why Europe economic growth was very fast. Combination of finance industry plus also this innovation. So when his name is Aran, who I can't remember, Turkish scholar, he was wondering why is it that the Muslim world was slow compared to Europe in terms of economic growth, and then he found out one of the reasons was because we don't have this innovation called the companies. He was very happy. He said Malaysia, Muslim world should innovate like the Europeans, which is to create companies. He didn't realize actually this company were instruments of the riba system. They were instruments of the riba system in order to grow the companies. Because then the companies can borrow a lot of money. Individuals cannot borrow that much money because individuals have got a limited lifespan. Now, if you want to know whether a country is on the right track, or the riba track, or the Muslim track, you count the number of wakaf compared to the number of indebted companies or corporations. That will tell you what kind of society we are living in. So in the Muslim world last time, no indebted corporation because riba was haram, but lots and lots of wakaf. All the schools in Palestine were all run by wakaf. Now, I did a calculation in Malaysia, wakaf assets about 3 billion. But you saw now, I think that shouldn't be up to us. Is there somewhere? What is the assets of banks now? You know, 2 point something trillion. I can't know exactly. More than 2 trillion. So what is wakaf again? 3 billion. 3 billion compared to, let's say, 2.5 trillion. That's 1,000 by the way, 1,000 billion. So 3 divided by 2,000. How many percent? How many percent is that? 3 divided by 2,000. So that shows you what kind of society we are living now. How far we have strayed away from what Islam has taught us. Anyway, so they had economic growth, they abandoned the gold standard, and there was growth of international trade and investment But of course, they also had this. They had oppression of workers. They had a lot of job losses, massive job losses. They have economic instability. They have economic crisis all the way from the tulip mania crisis way back in 1633. They had economic crisis already, and has been going on until today. The latest being the European debt crisis, following on from the subprime crisis, right? And widening global economic disparity we saw just now, which led to all this Occupy movement which we saw just now, disillusionment with establishment, and at the end of it, the election of Donald Trump in America, right? Now in Malaysia, people are also upset at the establishment in a different way, and we probably will see a change in political arrangements too. This takes place everywhere in the world, unless you want to change it by undemocratic means. For example, what happened in Egypt, where they use force. You want to change, you go to jail. If you start talking about changes, you go to jail. Now in this country, I'm not sure whether that's possible or not. If they do not do that, then in just a matter of time, could be next election, we will see a change in political structure. Not because of anything else, it's because of people cannot, they find life very difficult. According to some analysis, they say that if the amount of income spent on food is about 40%, then you will see the society will rise up to change the political structure. Now we have this at the moment, a phenomenon of job losses. Why? Why do people lose jobs and find it very difficult? Because now we have companies, highly indebted companies, who borrow a lot of money. I'll show you afterward. Hundreds of billions. When you have hundreds of billions in debt, you have to cut costs. Right? You have to cut costs. And that is why salary doesn't increase. In UK, income has not risen for the last 26 years, I'm told, right? There's been stagnant, even though price has gone up. Income has been stagnant. That's why husbands have got to force their wife to go to work. That is why when husbands want to get married, the first thing they ask is that they keep working a lot. Last time people don't ask this question, right? Now people ask this question, I'm going to get married to this girl. Is she working or not? That things that change. And then the number of families, the number of children family, as Zahid mentioned just now. In Singapore just now, in Japan is 1.2 children per family. In Korea it's about 1.1 something, right? In Singapore it's 0.8. 0.8 children per family. The head is missing. Now, I like Zahid's joke just now. Some people say that why are we unemployed? Why are the graduates unable to find jobs? They say it's because of English. If English is the reason for not being able to find a job, then there will not be any unemployment problem in the US or in the UK. Because of English over there. So actually it's about value added. Now, later on, the jobs came to Malaysia because you can value add even though we speak lousy English, but the reason why we come here anyway because we are willing to work hard for a lower job, a lower pay. Later on, you will go to another part of the world, in Vietnam, maybe Indonesia. Why? Even though they speak like lousy English, because they are willing to work for a lower pay. That's the reason. Bangladeshi workers are got a job here. So many Bangladeshis are working, they cannot speak English. Or Myanmar. Why? Because they are paid 700, 900 ringgit a month. Right? Now, in Seremban, they were paid about 900, 1,000 ringgit a month. What happened? Samsung factory, I went to the Samsung factory. It closed down. Still, even though with 900, 1,000 ringgit a month, workers not able to compete. They still have to cut costs. They move out. Why? Competition. Because all these companies are indebted. They borrow so much money, they have to cut costs. Now, I wanted to remind you so to make you feel more miserable. The competition. So we have large competition between very highly indebted companies. Right? No more Nokia, no more BlackBerry. Some people, we in the business school talk about strategies. But actually behind it all, some people just ignore the fact that these are Nokia. They are not stupid people, right? BlackBerry is stupid. They are not stupid people. Why is it that they have disappeared? They strategize because now everything is very risky, highly indebted, you borrow so much money. One wrong move, or the market change. Sometimes you cannot read what the consumers want, and that's enough to make you go bust. That's enough. So remember that those who are working companies, it's very easy for companies to go bust nowadays because everybody is indebted. Look at the biggest job losses. 60,000 workers was let go by IIUM. Now, I don't have time. Last time, right? I just want to say that now, if you want to compete, if you want to survive, you can be medium-sized companies. Just now, as I mentioned, right? Banks, they want to lend only to large companies. Now, companies, if you want to borrow money, you have to be large, right? If you are not large, banks are not interested to lend to you. So everybody wants to become large. Right? But if you want to be large, you have to borrow money. Right? So you are now in a vicious cycle. Unless you are willing to be small and say, Alhamdulillah, okay, that's all. That's enough. Then sell burgers at the store, right? But if you want to be a serious businessman, you have to be large. And how to be large? You have to borrow money. So that's why firms which want to dominate market borrow like crazy. Look at the amount of debt that this company has. General Motors, 172 billion. We thought, MDB is fair enough, right? This is worse, right? Much worse. This is many years ago. By now, I do not know. By the way, I checked recently Toyota. Also, huge amount of debt. Toyota is actually in a very risky situation now. So, now, growth of loans. So now, everybody wants to borrow money, and therefore, loan growth is terrible now. Look at this, let's take a look. Total into the stock of cross-border bank loans stood at 9 billion. At the end of March 2015, 9.6 trillion. From billion to trillion. Growth of bond market. 1994, 620 billion. 2012, 103 billion. That is the growth. Yeah. These are the factors which some of you can read more. Many books will explain to you the factors for the growth of loans. This is economic crisis, as you can see. So the growth is growing, and not only that, government also need to borrow money now because when there is a crisis, government got to help out, right? Because otherwise people will suffer and complain. So government will borrow money, and the financial sector smiles because government start to borrow money, then you can get more money, right? So US government debt, 2007, 8 trillion. 2016, 20 trillion. Alright, 29,000 last time, now 61,000 for US citizens. According to Kotlikoff from Boston University, it says actually US cannot pay their debt. They are actually practically bankrupt now. This is a professor of economics at Boston. Japan, 2007, 7 trillion. Now 10 trillion. 176% of GDP, now 250% of GDP. Okay. How about Malaysia? This is the projection by IMF, the public debt going up. This is global public debt, 27,000. This is what year is this? 2006. 10 years ago. What about now? 60. Increased by more than 30 trillion. More than 30 trillion. That is why you have to pay more tax. That's why GST is going to go up. This is China's debt going up also. This is China's debt, by the way. This is Japan debt, 146. This is about 1% in total. This is corporate, this is government, corporate and individual. Okay? So you can see the total. Japan is worse. After that, China is most high up there. This is okay. So that is the main issue now. And rightly pointed out by none other than Alex Rogoff of Harvard. He said that the real problems are actually debt. So all the system that we're talking about now, it cannot grow unless you increase debt. The debt is the source of all these problems. But unfortunately, he said overcoming the deeply ingrained debt bias in ritual fund system is not going to be easy. Look at this. 2007, this is just before the subprime. Total debt, global debt by time. Okay? So total debt is 142 trillion. Now after the crisis, this is 2014. About the crisis yesterday. What is that? Total 14? 14. Okay. So if you look the discussions of the subprime, 2008 was subprime. It's all about debt. We have a problem of debt. And Rogoff says debt. So did they learn a lesson from this danger of debt? Increased by another 57 trillion. So what is happening? So he said that is a problem. But even though he identified that is a problem, people still borrow money. The debts keep on increasing. And then he said, maybe this is kind of what God said. Maybe the Islamic financial system prohibition of interest. That's the secret. We may have to learn from them. Are we going to tell them come and adopt Islamic banking? He will find out. It's dead also. It's dead. Because I spoke to the chairman of the China panel, advisor to Panel. I asked him about Sukuk. I said, Sukuk is a debt instrument or is it ownership of asset instrument? Because we study in the textbook says that Islamic Sukuk is different. It's actually ownership from the word sak, right? Certificate of asset. That's Sukuk. Plural is Sukuk. So is it ownership of asset instrument or debt instrument? And he looked at Ismail and said, it's a debt instrument. And he is the chairman of the Syariah panel advisor to Pan and Malaysia. Anyway, he did say to me, many years ago, he said that what the purpose of Islamic banking or Islamic banking experts is to create instruments that is exactly the same as the conventional instrument but halal. So if you look at it and you find out it's exactly the same, then don't be surprised because that is the objective of the Islamic banking experts. They want to create instruments which are exactly the same but halal. Okay. Alright, so this one I don't have to tell you. In Islam, we are not allowed to benefit from that. Right? That is only to help other people. If you want to have profit, you take risk, do business. As Zahid stressed just now. Take risk, do business. If you lend money, don't expect the profit. You lend money only to help. Okay, now, is it possible to avoid that? The question now, right? For everybody now, you will tell me. The problem is, we can avoid that. That's the problem. Is it true? House just now, right? Housing. Is it true that you cannot afford borrowing money? Like how this guy? He built a bungalow. 30,000 ringgit only. Kampung, anak kat kampung, save money, 30,000, he built himself a bungalow. Possible. Okay, I want to show. This is my friend. His name is Haji Warami. So he told me, Prof, he said, actually it's possible to buy a house without borrowing money. I did that, he said. I'm a government servant. How did you do that? I said, I save money. I save my money. Every month I save, I put away some money. And then after so many years, I calculated how much I need. And I bought a house for cash. I bought a house. And they told me, actually, Prof, I bought 2 houses. Oh, I said 2 houses? Why? I got 2 wives. 2 wives, he bought both houses using cash. You don't believe me? You talk to him. I show you photo. I got his permission, so I'm going to show you photo. Ali Ghazali. Ali Ghazali is another case. Merrill Lynch. Got work with Merrill Lynch. Financial derivatives, everything. And also he said, you don't need to buy a house for cash. And he's a financial wizard. I call him financial wizard because I understand derivatives, etc. I cannot even understand anything about financial derivatives. Ali Ghazali said, it's possible to live life without borrowing money. It's possible. And I now invite Ali Ghazali to come to the front. This is with us now. I quoted him, but I realized that better ask him to come along and explain to us all here. Actually, we don't need to go to that in order to live decent life. Go ahead.
Assalamualaikum, everyone. Thank you for being here for our inauguration MMJ launch, the Waves and Official launch. My name is Ali Ghazali. As you can see me, I'm above 50 and above 60. Working in financial services. I used to work in Maybank for 2 years. I used to work with, then on I moved to Singapore and worked, and my last position in Singapore was with Merrill Lynch, Singapore. I've been in all kinds of financial services, derivatives, you name it. I was a registered securities dealer with, in Singapore. I was a registered derivatives and securities dealer with the National Association of Securities Dealers of the United States. I'm also a registered securities dealer in Malaysia, as well as futures brokers in Malaysia. I used to be a director of, you may have heard the forerunner of the Bursa Derivative Malaysia, which was Kuala Lumpur Auction and Frankfurt Futures Exchange. I was a director there, and earlier just now, Prof. Kamil was talking about clearing house or netting. I was also a director of Malaysian Derivative Clearing House then. When I talk about derivatives, my last derivative trades was back in 2004, I think. I was with HLG Capital. Yeah, I did a deal of about $20 million. Okay. I mean, decent commission, I quit after that. Yeah, I quit. I left financial services altogether. Now, all these years, way back in 89, 90, I've lived in a rented house until today. Okay. Basically, I was staying in Johor Bahru in Singapore. Okay, I moved to Kuala Lumpur. I rented a house. You don't mind telling you, I rented a house at Kenny Hill. Big bungalow, 11,000 square feet, double-story house. Why I was there? Because my children were schooling at a private school then, Garden International. I moved to Ampang. Then, 1998. Remember, I was with the Derivative Exchange. Yeah, I was running one of the brokerage house. And 1998, Capital Control came in. I mean, if you talk about derivative market, when there's a capital control, it sort of jam up the equation when you talk about derivative market, when there's a capital control in October, it was October there was a capital control, then the market itself is not conducive. It's just what's happening now. You have Bank Negara telling banks outside Malaysia, the offshore bank, you have to sign that you are not participating in non-delivery and non-delivery contract, foreign exchange. So it makes things very good. And ringgit is not traded. It cannot be traded outside Malaysia. And Bank Negara does not have the reserve to intervene in the foreign exchange market these days, because Bank Negara is one of the participants of the market. They're not bigger than market. So it can be very dangerous. Now, of course, someone, I think the earlier academics, not from Nazri, I think from Arpa, from Kamil mentioned about market, about price. Yeah. To me, price is perception. You know, like at one time, oil price was above $100 US. Now it's just above $50 US per barrel. Why is it so? Is it last time there was limited oil and now suddenly there was a surplus oil? It's all perception, and of course it makes more complicated because of the debt base, the financial system that we have at the moment. Okay, back to being debt free. I'm not saying I'm debt free, but it's that level. It's something that because it doesn't make sense for me to pay off everything. Yeah, that's a very minimum. Yeah? I don't own a house. Yeah? I now live in Bangsa. I participate in this matter. I want to contribute in a way. I don't mind people asking me for the question beyond what I do. I'm a farmer. I plant cucumber, currently okra. I enjoy doing that. It's more risky than the stock market, you know. But that falls in line with what Razak mentioned earlier. Like, you have to take risks. Yeah? That's when you can, that's rewarding. I mean, of course, being farmer is the other rewarding part is very therapeutic. When you see the plant grow, flowering, fruiting, and then, wow, no medicine can give you that kind of. That's what it is. I'm not sure how you and I can connect. If you come up and ask me a question, then I can actually share in the course of my experience. Okay. It reminded me of the other things that I do. Do I have property? Yes, I do. I only got the first degree in job and marriage. Yeah, job and marriage. So whatever I do, I sort of, at the end of the day, you have an equation, right? If it makes sense, then I'll do that way. If it doesn't make sense, like for example, like why I rent, because it doesn't make sense. You do the equation. I can write you the equation of the monthly installment or yearly rest or monthly rest or whatever rest. It's a Fourier series in mathematics. And you get that. So like Prof. Nazri mentioned about what I do among others. I have property. It's not no-brainer actually to me. I invest in car park. Car park near airport. It gives me an 8% return. It's a real property that is cheaper than a single-story house. I mean, at the end of the day, you look at per unit of car park, right? It gives you 8% return. I look at it, it's simple. I mean, I buy 3 car park, airport car park. Yeah, 3 airport car park in the UK, Gatwick Airport. In spite of all the exchange rate, I got caught because of Brexit, something that's beyond our expectation, not what to do, but it's not a case I'm trading, yeah? It's an investment. Yeah? 3 car park in the UK, which is less than $500,000 ringgit, it is 8%. Okay? Pays for the renting bangsa. It makes sense, I do the coverage, it makes sense, I continue rent bangsa. I mean, I don't have any headache. There's no leaking roof, leaking bed, tenant run away, right? Hey, it makes sense. I do it. Of course, people think I'm crazy. That's why I say, doing this thing is more crazy. Everybody just ignoring it. That question, you're crazy. Yeah. So, I can't understand. Not recently, I think a few years ago, you go to the supermarket, shopping center, you have these marketeers, right? They go and say, sir, this time you want to get credit card, sir? Went to, I see Malay guys say, you are like syaitan. Or you are syaitan menyerupai manusia. You ask me to do this thing. Take on that. Okay? And the youth come to me and ask, Uncle, what about foreign exchange? I used to trade forex. At one time, I spent a year in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh. I've got the Reuters screen. I'm sick with the Reuters screen by me, I could watch the exchange rate. But then at that time, I have two kids, 2 babies. Yeah. Can you do that? That's because foreign exchange moved by the minute, by the second. Now, to give you my experience, this is based on the current financial system. Have you any idea? Do you know what overnight interest rate is? Like the central bank overnight interest rate is? Yeah? Or they what they call, they intervene, okay? Now, can you give me a number, how high an interest rate, overnight interest rate, that I have paid when I was working at the bank? Somewhere. Throw a number. Overnight interest rate.
15%.
Sorry? 15%. Anybody else? Overnight interest rate. You must remember, this is a financial system which is actually shaky, Yeah? Come on, higher. Sorry?
10.
Higher. 3,000% overnight rate. I mean, this is a real world, real world under a system of this man-made system which is, it's crazy. You know when? Was it 1983, 1984? Europe have got those recycling nations, they've got their own currency. French franc, Danish krone, the whole world, not EU. Not the, what do you call it, not the euro then, okay? French franc was under attack, the devaluation. They have a ban. The exchange between the member country, they are both in a ban. They cannot move out of line. The sterling pound, this French franc got a bit. So when they move out of line, the central bank, the respecting central bank intervene to move them in line so that between the nation they can trade properly, right? So French franc was under attack. And there was speculation that French franc was going to be hit about 10% devaluation. I was working with French bank. Okay? And it wasn't much, I think about 300,000 that I had to borrow on behalf of the bank, if not my account will overdrawn. I had to pay 3,000% is as good as 10% devaluation. Correct? 3,000 divided by 360 days per 10%. Right? So it's as good as I commit. I have to accept, I have to buy a 10% devaluation. 3,000%. Understand? Okay? Now that's I have to pay. Now the other way around, I accept deposit. I used to work in Australian bank. Give me a number, Australian bank. 1 month deposit. A customer come in and put deposit. Any number? Sorry? 1 month deposit. That's overnight. 1 month deposit. Pick a number. Just to get a feel that you know, this is a financial system. I pay 100% interest rate for 1 month for deposit. When I was looking at Australia, that was probably 1980, 81. When Australia was a fixed rate and they were going to a floating exchange during that uncertain period. 100%. So ladies and gentlemen, that's a flawed system. Okay, it's a flawed system. I like what Prof. Kamil has mentioned just now about the netting system. I like very much. I like to have your slides, sir. Okay, housing. Yeah, housing. Do a research on German housing. Do a research on German housing. Because the state intervened, you know. The state intervened, and even the banks are Germany. Not all banks can do housing loan. Only specific banks. They control that side. So I look upon you as the youth of this country. Okay, understand what's in front of us. We talk about the government, right? I think my colleague Zahid just now mentioned the government will change. But who decides for the government? You. You are going to be the voters. You will be voting. You vote for any party or any candidate which support this kind of initiative. You know. Let's make this a platform. You know what I mean? If party A say no, I'm crazy lah, don't vote for him. You know? You have to do something. Like what I have done for myself. I mean, my personal level, I do for myself. Right? But I want to impart this on you. Yeah? At the end of the day, like our professor Alpha mentioned just now, you know, this perception. All kinds of perception, right? So this is what, you know, especially nowadays, there's a lot of things you can learn. You know? I mean, not everything on the internet is good, but do, like Coursera, for example, it's a good, it is a good body of, what do you call it? Where you can learn. I enrolled in one of the courses, six months course, online course, you know, conducted by the University of Wisconsin or Chicago. You know, just learn from that. You know? So I hope you have that. You have that drive, but by you coming here, I think that's an indication that you will. Yeah. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. So now, I told you just now that if you understand finance, you borrow money to buy a house. This is the truth, right? So why are still people borrowing money to buy a house? Because you don't understand finance. Now, let me finish. Now, borrow cars. People say you need to borrow money to buy a car. Look at this car. It's only about what? 6,888. Below 7,000. Below 7,000 again. Nice car, right? Nice car. And you say, what about this one? BMW. BMW. Only 13,000. She can buy cash. Save your money. Worst come to worst, buy my car. This is my car. Be nice. How much is it? Less than 5,000. I still use it. Okay, what about getting married? Here, I give you internet link. If you want to get married and spend less than 3,000. Or 5,000 a year. Possible. Okay? Conclusion. Society must adopt values that prevent the growth of debt and